Hey guys, welcome to another video review. Oh my, where do I start with this amazing thing? For those of you who enjoy in-depth reviews and storytelling and me blathering on and on about pieces that I collect, you're going to enjoy this review. And for those of you who more like just want to cut to the quick of things and cut to the chase, well, then you probably aren't really subscribed to me anyways, because I'm not very quick and I'm rather wordy. That's kind of my style, for better or for worse. I give you very in-depth discussions of the stuff I collect because I love them so much. And I hope some of that sort of passion comes through and not just a monotone, like sort of nerdy voice or something like that, just yammering at you. So let's go. This piece is called Fearless Journey. It's produced by Infinity Studios, which is based in China, I think in Shanghai, if I'm not mistaken. And this is a company that's been around for a couple of years, but they're still mainly, I think, more well known or based in Asia, in China, in that that area of the world. And they tend to traditionally they started by making statues and works of art that kind of celebrate Chinese culture and history and things like that. And they branch out occasionally to certain other areas. I think they did a very nice Mai Shiranui from King of the Fighters. They've done a lot of amazing statues from Three Kingdoms. They're doing some nice work like of Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, from again Chinese mythology, Journey to the West. So that's kind of, from my understanding, a little bit background of the company. And the name of this piece is Fearless Journey, and it's very sort of based on like Chinese calligraphy art, very dreamy, and they decided to try to kind of make it come out in statue form. So I got number 95 out of 99. I think the edition size is 99 for international. So as you can see here, edition 99 in the overseas, that's international market, and in the Asian market, I believe they have 125. So total would be 224, which is a minuscule amount. And I think if you see the statue, you will appreciate why they can't make too many of them. I have this on my mirror turntable, so I'm going to turn it on and get it rotating, back up, so I can talk about this while this thing rotates. And while it rotates, you can sort of just get an idea of how beautiful this thing is. So how did I first hear about this piece? Well, first of all, I just want to talk about the fact that if you collect statues for any length of time, you do begin to become a little bit jaded, maybe a little bit cynical, because after a while you just kind of feel like you've seen it all. It just takes a lot more to impress you. On one level, that's good because it prevents you from buying any dreck or junk, in my opinion, of course, that's out there. I'm sorry if that sounds rather elitist. So you begin to develop a little bit more of a fine taste, right? It's almost like a fine tasting of wines or whatnot. You begin to say, okay, this is good, but not good enough. You want to be a little bit more selective with the pieces you buy, spend your money on, and spend your, more importantly, display space to show off. So with me, it just takes a lot to impress me. How many Hulks, how many Wolverines and Supermans and Batmans, how many of those can you really have? It takes truly remarkable art design to kind of impact me, at least anymore. It takes something pretty special to catch my attention, and you do get to be a little bit bored of the same types of pieces. Maybe I'll make another video another time to explain why you always see Batmans and Supermans and Wolverine. And a part of it's obviously money, but it's not always about that. It's not just that. There's more complexity to that. So the challenge, obviously, then is if you are a company, a producer, how are you going to make your product stand out from the glut of licensed things that are out there. What makes your Batman or your Wolverine any better than the 30 of the Wolverines or Batmans, both licensed and unlicensed and custom, is out there? The other tactical about this is just to create a wholly original sculpture, an original idea. There is no license. It's just something from your mind. It's original, and I'm very happy when companies take that risk to do that. And this is an example of what Infinity Studios has done with their artistic team. They've taken a concept, a little nugget of a story, and they've just sort of created this amazing work of art to illustrate it. It's so it just catches your eye. It kind of catches your imagination. I saw this on my Facebook feed, and my first impression was just so awestruck by the detail and the art design and the beauty and the grace of it. It's like something out of a dream. And I felt like I had to try to get it and learn more about it. So what this is, it's called Fearless Journey. And from the title, and maybe just from looking at this piece, I just want to ask you, can you imagine the story behind it and what it may be about? There's no comic book, there's no book, there's no painting, there's nothing. It's the sculpture itself that tells that story. So what this is showing you it's showing essentially a little boy who's walked all the way up a hill, a mountain. It feels like the top of a mountain. He finally has reached the pinnacle of that mountain. You can see this tree behind him, this old gnarled tree. Here's a little boy right here. And he's standing there unafraid with his chest sticking out, his arms on his hips, sort of jutting out. There's a lot of confidence, and he basically sees the object of his quest, which is this amazing, gorgeous dragon in the clouds. So these are the clouds. And when you put this piece and the details of this piece in combination with the title Fearless Journey, you get a sense of the story behind the sculpture. A story of a boy who loves dragons, who's always wanted to see a dragon. Maybe no one believes him because it's always myth and he never gave up. And sort of through his faith in their existence and his never giving up, he finally reaches his goal. He finally meets the object of his dreams. Here's a close-up again of the dragon and the boy, and doesn't he look fearless to you? And it's about that journey to get to that point where he is now at the pinnacle of that mountain, and he finally sees again the object of mythology and legend. It is overwhelming in its beauty and its detail. When you collect statues, by the way, and I'm going to turn this off now. When you collect statues, connoisseurs of statues always appreciate art design, and we always appreciate detail because it's so hard to get detail in a sculpt. And again, the detail in this piece is just so amazing, so overwhelming. You can't really get it from every angle, every shot. The dragon obviously is the highlight of the piece, but there's just so much more to it than that. The little boy really brings everything together. And then the way they sculpted the clouds to make it look like the clouds, even though it's in resin form, is just amazing. The fact that this tree is here in all its gnarled glory, and how did they manage to pull this off? There's just so much to this. The paint job is wonderful. For a production piece, there's a glistening ton. The mustache or the whiskers of the dragon, I believe, is got some steel wire in it, so you can very carefully bend it if you need to. I'm trying to get a little bit more detail on the little boy. It's really hard to do because you kind of have to go behind it. I'm not sure if I can. Let's see if I can focus this a little bit better on him. But his paint job is really nice too. You can see the nice expression on his face. But anyways, I'm trying desperately to try to get this shot for you, but it's really hard to do because again, you have to kind of have there it goes right here. That's about the best I can do, guys. Sorry about that. Anymore, I have to try to put the hand behind it and then get a little bit closer. Might be a little bit easier with flash. I'll try another section where I use the light from the flash to see. You can kind of see how small he is compared to the dragon. There's no real scale. Here's my hand right here to give you some idea of how big it is. There's no real scale, obviously. It's not quarter scale or 1/6 or 1/20th. But there you go. The entire body of the dragon, he's just sort of swirling through the clouds. It looks like he's flying through the clouds to land almost, near the little boy. He's just kind of floating down. It gives you this impression that he's floating from the clouds, mixed with the clouds, sort of coming out of the clouds and floating down from the clouds to meet this boy. And what an amazing interpretation of a dragon as well. Definitely a lot of Chinese mythology. This is definitely a Chinese dragon, the way they sculpted him, the way he looks. You see all the little scales right over here, the fangs, the talons, all the things coming out of him. Again, just remarkable. This is one of the most unique and beautiful statues I've ever seen and that I own. And it's just such an honor and a privilege to be able to display this. It also comes with a scroll that you can open up and hang up as well. I don't have that, it's very long. It's bigger than this backdrop actually, and you have to have a nice place to sort of hang it up and then display it. So you have to work on displaying that later on. As you can see, it's pretty big across. I mean, I would say it's well over 12 inches, maybe close to 18 or so, and about 20 plus inches high. People will complain about the small size of this thing. And while I can see, sure, I mean, I get that, it is a little bit tinier, but to me, it's perfect size. To make it any bigger would just be to increase the cost, increase the weight, without increasing, in my opinion, the impact. The size of this piece with the size of the little boy, juxtaposed against the size of the dragon, and of course all the cloud effects and the cloud base, to me it's just perfect. And it's very heavy, I think it's a good 20 pounds when you put everything together. It doesn't feel cheap. I think it's resin. I think at least a large part of it is resin. This feels resin. There's definitely weight to it. I think there might be some parts like the tree or maybe certain tentacles or the whiskers or all of these little things. It might be PVC, but it doesn't feel like it. But in my opinion, if this is how they incorporate PVC in these pieces, I'm all for it. I'm not a big plastic or PVC fan. I usually still feel like resin is better and more suited for my taste. But if they're able to incorporate it this well and make it look this well and still have that sense of weight to it, then I have no problems with it. Because another thing that we need to talk about is when you first see this thing, you're just thinking to yourself, there's just no way they can ship it. It's got so many tendrils and details and things just look at the teeth, look at the spine, look at the tree. It's just crazy. And it's how in the world are they ever going to be able to ship it without this thing basically landing in a million little pieces? Well, if you check out Infinity Studios unboxing video, they show you it comes in a rather elegant box, very well secured, with Velcro straps to hold the styrofoam tight. And it doesn't come in tons of pieces. The base and the dragon and the boy and the tree and the rock comes in one solid piece. And then you do put in you obviously put in the claws of the dragon, the cloud tendrils, again, some of the spines, that are coming out of him. There's about 11 to 12 pieces you have to put in. They're all magnetized. I do suggest taking out all the pieces first, looking at the video to give you an idea. Unfortunately, the Infinity Studios video did make one error where they basically showed the person taking one of the pieces out that they then don't use for the actual next section. And so they used the wrong piece, or they show him taking out the wrong piece. So take all of it out, understand that there is one error. If you can't get a piece in, then try another piece, because that's probably the error. Another thing is that we're trying to create the effect that the dragon is literally, again, coming out of the clouds, landing out of the clouds, flying through the clouds. And so these sort of cloudy tendrils are in intimate approximation with the dragon. They're touching. And so especially for this area right here, this is one of the last pieces to be put right here. It's got to come in flush, it's got to come in tight. And when you do this, hopefully you can appreciate where this guy is related to this guy and this guy and this guy. They're literally touching. Okay, there's no gap at all. And you can't put this in against this. You have to actually wriggle this a little bit, move this a little bit, wriggle. You have to kind of, it's hard to explain, you have to wriggle both this piece and this piece all at the same time to get everything just kind of snap together. So just letting you know, be careful, be gentle, don't break anything, don't scratch anything. It can be done. This is one of the trickier parts of this whole process, this thing. Everything else comes together pretty easily, pretty intuitively. Another thing is that because the dragon is kind of squished into the box like this, some of the whiskers, like over here, these guys and these these whiskers here are sort of bent out of shape just because of the way he comes in. And you can very carefully bend them and move them, and you look at the pictures and the video to show how they're supposed to be. Like, I think for me, this whisker right here, it was like all the way down here. It was just basically completely out of place. I had to just kind of gently lift it up, and put it into position and to make it look good, okay? But again, just sort of be gentle, be careful. You don't want to snap it if you can avoid it. It does connect, obviously, in this area down here. You don't want to break it at the nose. You don't want to break it where you can easily tell. So these are all areas you're going to be a little bit careful about. Like here, you want to just gently move this over. It tends to want to memorize and go back. It's supposed to be a little bit more symmetrical, but again, like that's okay. The whiskers are supposed to be a little bit different for each part. So just a few tips, okay, on the whole unpacking process. This is meant to be a centerpiece, obviously. It's ideal if you can put it on its own little pedestal and then put it in front of that wall, that gorgeous wall scroll that this comes with. So that would be, again, the ideal scenario. Whether I'm able to do that, I don't know. It's doubtful. I might have to really kind of think things through to sort of properly display it, but this is truly amazing. I think it's their best work. They had a follow-up called Pilgrimage, which again is a smaller piece just like this, and it just sort of juxtaposes, again, massive dragon-like creatures against small little people. I got that one on pre-order too. I really like that. I like their style, but this one is the one that really captures the imagination. And if I sound really excited about it, it's because I don't get excited about statues that often anymore. I think most of the time when you hear me talk about them, it's in this very sort of didactic, almost lecture room quality, just kind of going and droning on about the characteristics of the piece, its limitation, why it's important. If you can say that any collectible statue toy is important, but why is it important artistically? Why do I appreciate about it? But this one, I hope, I do sound a little bit excited. I do sound a little bit, just in awe of the detail and the art design and everything like that. I think it's just a really, really amazing statue. One of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And another credit to Infinity Studios, this is the first piece I bought from them, is that they have excellent production quality. I mean, from the video and the pictures you first see on their Facebook page, of the prototype to the actual production, it's darn close. I mean, I don't see any horrible, letdown, in other words, at the production level. And why should it? Because they make so few of them. I mean, they're only making, like I said, only making 224. Each one of these pieces does have a lot of individual attention to it. It's very different making 224 of these versus 2,224, right? In terms of the what criticisms there are, I don't have a whole lot of criticism. The size we already talked about. It's not quite as big, maybe as some people want it to be. Although again, I can't imagine it being too much bigger and still being reasonable to even work with. The weight is very heavy, even for a size of this, even for a piece this size. If you feel the density, of the piece when you're trying to lift it. So fear not, it does have a very good weight to it. You do feel like it's resin. Sure, maybe the scales could be painted a little bit better, but this is true to the control art. It's true to the initial, prototype. And this is what this dragon's coloration is like. In terms of the seam lines, I think that they did a fantastic job hiding where the dragon parts go, but when it came to the cloudy tendrils, it's a little bit easier to tell. You can, for instance, easily look at the seam line here. One of the tendrils goes here. You can easily see the seam line here where the second cloud tendril goes. The third one is the most well done, the best hidden. It's here, okay, right over here. And again, they did a better job hiding this one, for instance. So they probably could have done a better job, again, sort of camouflaging where those three cloudy magnetized pieces go. For instance, in comparison, you can see that where this fin magnetized in there, they did a much better job sort of hiding it. So the seam lines, again, could have been a little bit better, but you look at the overall piece and your eye just kind of goes right across all of that. And again, this is a dragon in the clouds meeting a little boy on the top of a mountain. This is not Iron Man or the Incredible Hulk or Wolverine, so the seams are not quite as critical. And again, there's so much going on. You can stand here and just look at this piece, forever and just keep on appreciating new things about it. And that boy is just so important because the size of the boy and his attitude, his pose, him standing on the solitary rock with a tree, that just sort of connects the entire thing together and then gives you that sense of awe, that sense of majesty, because he pulls it all together. He gives you that scale to appreciate the size of the dragon facing him. So again, all of this, just comes together amazingly. Definitely one of the most amazing statues of 2018. I'm on West Coast time, so 2019 is going to be hitting in about 10-15 minutes. But I got this piece before 2019 hit, and I gotta say, it's very, very close. It's right up there with Silver Surfer as a statue of the year material. Certainly one of the best statues, one of the most unique statues that I own in my entire collection, which is, again, saying a lot. Very impressive. Again, long sold out. It was very difficult. Infinity Studios does not sell directly to customers. They sell through distributors. And the American distributor for Infinity Studios is now basically known as Big Bad Toy Store. They've sold some of their pieces in the past, but they didn't carry this. Or if they did, I didn't know about it. And with only 99 for the entire international market outside of Asia, this disappeared almost instantaneously. And at the time, I don't believe Big Bad Toy Store actually carried this piece. I think now they more routinely and more consistently sell Infinity Studios stuff. So for future releases, I would go to Big Bad Toy Store to see when it comes up for order, if you want to order from a US distributor. So for this guy, I had to actually go through a Malaysia distributor through one of my friends out there kind of hooked me up. This was actually sold out, and one of the people who bought it canceled. I think the company only had two, and one of them canceled, and then I put in the deposit and managed to get one. So this is it is difficult to get. I'm also, I want to say, proud of Infinity Studios and thankful that they don't play the so-called artist proof game where they put out an edition size and then they put out infinite artist proofs because they want to make money. This company seems to have good reputation for that. They're not playing around. What they say is what they say. People have asked and they say, hey, we're not making any more of these. It's numbered, it's legit. 99 overseas, 125 in Asia. That's it. We move on to the next one. So there is integrity there. Their packaging, fantastic. Production quality, amazing. I'm not going to buy everything they have, obviously, just because there's some things I'm not interested in. Not that interested in their Three Kingdoms works, even though those are all gorgeous, amazing pieces of these ancient Chinese warriors on horses. Probably not going to get their Monkey King, but this Fearless Journey and the Pilgrimage I did get, and they haven't disappointed. And I think this is definitely a company to watch out for. They do amazing work. As you can see, this is a heck of a way to get onto the statue collecting scene internationally, and I'm looking forward to more of that. So I hope you enjoyed listening to me rant and rave about Fearless Journey from Infinity Studios. And until next time, take care.